It's another delicious day here in the Let's Make Food from Food Kitchen, and it's time to make our lobster bisque. Now, as you can see, I've already got some water steaming. It's not quite boiling to boil my 2 lobster tails. So make sure you have those ready to go. We can kind of cover the rest of the ingredients. I have 1 large shallot. I guess technically it's 2 stuck together, but for me, it's 1 large shallot. Why do I use shallot? It's a little sweeter than some of the other onions. 1 carrot and a half a stick of celery. Now you can use a whole stick of celery, but my husband doesn't really like celery nearly as much, so I cut back on it for him. Then I have 4 cloves of garlic, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I'll put a link down below on a recipe for that. Some tarragon, there's a teaspoon there about, and then some fresh thyme, about a tablespoon of butter. This is 2 cups of seafood stock, which I just made in the previous video. I will put a link down for that below. Some heavy cream and some white wine. Now the white wine, try to stay away from the sweet stuff. This one is a Pinot Grigio. You can go with a Chardonnay, a Syrah. That's a white, right? Anyway, just I would stay away from like the Rieslings and the Gewürzweimers and all that. So just a dry white wine will work well. Once your water's boiling, you're gonna boil your lobsters for 5 minutes. While those are going, and while we wait for the water, you can prep your veggies. I need to get my peeler out so I can peel my carrot. And I just need to peel that outer layer. Okay, then I'm gonna take my knife and cut off the ends. Now that I've done that, my lobsters are ready to go into the water. So I'm just going to put those in there and set a timer for 5 minutes. Okay, then I want to just chop this stuff up while we're waiting. Give myself a little more room. Now, it doesn't have to be super fine chops. You just want it to cook fairly quickly, so larger pieces aren't going to cook very fast, because at the end of the day, you're going to puree all of this anyway. So the only reason I would cut this up really small is to get it to cook quickly. Move that aside. Same thing. I already trimmed that side of my celery. And my shallots. I'm just going to pop all over the place. So I want to get all the skins off. Okay, skins are off the shallots. I am just going to chop those up. And same thing, you're going to puree all of this. So I'm just cutting it up small enough so that it'll cook rather quickly. Okay, that should be good right there. Okay, my garlic is already peeled. I just need to take the ends off. I'm going to go ahead and take these out, put them on my plate. I need them to cool enough to be able to touch them. So I'm going to take these out, and then I need to empty my pot. Now, one of the things I can do, I've already got my seafood stock, but I can take a little bit of the liquid and add it to this if I wanted to add a little bit more of that lobster flavor to it, which I'm going to do. I'm just going to try and make sure I don't get the foam that's in there. So I'm just going to take a couple of scoops and just add it right to it. And that's optional, you don't have to do that. Okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna turn this off for just a sec. I'm gonna drain this to empty it out, and then we will come back and start the rest of it. Okay, I'm turning this back on to a medium heat. I didn't even rinse it or wash it. It's the same pot that I'm gonna make my soup in, so I can leave the lobster flavor in there. The other thing I did was got out my 2 tablespoons of flour that I had forgotten to get out. So now it's out. I'm going to put my olive oil in here. And that's just to coat the pan. And then I am going to put in the veg. Okay, that's going to start cooking. We want to cook it down so that our onions are translucent. And once we're to that point, we'll add our garlic. In the meantime, I need to chop up some tarragon. This is what it looks like whole. There's different sized leaves and whatnot. But I need to chop it down into much smaller pieces. And we'll add that in. And of course that'll get pureed too, but I want to release some of those flavors. See, I can already smell it just by chopping it up. I can smell that. It's delicious. Smells delicious, I should say. I didn't actually taste it that way. I don't know if you can eat tarragon raw, can you? I'll have to look it up. Okay, that's ready to go. Just give that a stir. We want to keep an eye on it. So the next thing I'm going to do is get out my salt and pepper that I also forgot. I'm not as prepared as I usually am. I forgot my salt and pepper, so I need to get out salt and pepper. I need to get out my plastic cutting board because I don't do meats on my wood cutting board, so that we can do the lobster while this cooks. I'm going to bring my lobster back over here. Okay. I want to take the tail, and you can use scissors to do this, but I want to split it down the middle, okay? Then I'm going to take my thumbs along each side and split it open, okay? And pull out the meat. Hopefully, I can get all of it in one pull. And I find that using scissors, I can cut it cleanly and not cut through the meat, but I kind of, for this particular recipe, I'm going to chop it up anyway, so I don't need those big, beautiful whole pieces because I'm going to chop it up. So get out as much of the lobster meat as you can, ideally all of it. Okay, our onions are getting there. They're not quite ready, which is fine because I'm still working on my lobster here. So what I want to do is chop this down into little bits. I don't want any large chunks for this recipe. So I'm just going to kind of pick it up and make sure it's all separated. And it should do so fairly easily. Okay, and then I'm going to get it all on my plate that I rinsed back off. Then I can set it aside, and I am done with this cutting board. So I'll clean this back up while this stuff cooks off. Okay, so my onions are just about done. What I want to do now is add in my thyme, my tarragon, there we go, and 3 cloves of my 4 cloves of garlic. We're reserving 1 clove, and you'll see why. Don't worry. Okay, stir that up and let that garlic cook for 30 to 60 seconds. Okay, next I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter, and I didn't have that out originally either because I don't know what my deal was today. I had part of it out and not all of it. I think I got sidetracked and was trying to multitask, and that's just never good for me. So once that's about melted, I'm going to take my 2 tablespoons of unbleached flour and sprinkle it in there. And I want to cook that until it's going to kind of create a paste on top of our vegetables, and we want it to smell, I don't know, a little toasty. Okay, it's just going to cook down a little bit. This is kind of the consistency that we have on top of our veggies right now. It's not quite there. And we're still on a kind of a medium low right now. If you got numbers, it's number 4. So now we're going to pour this in and stir while we go. All right, now we're going to add our tomato paste and our white wine, 3/4 cup of white wine. We're going to bring it to a boil. We're going to boil it for about 5 minutes. Okay, I have turned it back down. I'm going to add some pepper. And salt and pepper is always to taste. I'm not going to salt it yet until I get my lobster in there though. So what I want to do is carefully move this off. Then, I'm going to put this on there. Why is that, you say? Well, let me tell you. We're going to saute this quickly in some butter and garlic. So I can go ahead and start pureeing this. Oops. Be careful not to burn yourself. You can also do this in a blender. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this butter in here. We're gonna add this garlic to it. And we're just gonna cook this lobster in here for just a quick minute. I'm gonna give my broth a taste and see where I'm at. Oh, it actually looks pretty good. Most of it broke down. It's just a few pieces. Okay, I just need to work it more. Okay, so I will add some salt and some more pepper. Okay. I'm going to give this another stir. And I'm going to give this another stir and take it off. Whoops, that was supposed to stay off. Okay. And we'll just put it over. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave it on this pan because it'll stay hot. So that's what we'll do. Okay. So then I'm going to puree it just a little bit more. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to add about half of this into there. Yeah, about half. Perfect. And you can use heavy cream or half and half, whichever you prefer. You could even, if you really want to change the flavor of this, dare I say it, coconut cream. But that's really, really, really going to change the flavor of it. Okay. Now, before I add my lobster in, I am going to taste it one more time, now that I've added the cream. Okay. Now, I want to add most, ooh, that's hot, 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 hot. I forget these are cast iron. They're so hot. Okay, so I'm going to add the majority of my lobster into this. Stir it up, and then it's ready to serve. Why not all of it? Well, I want to use the top of this as a garnish. Okay, so I'm going to clear this up, and we're going to serve it up. Look at me making a mess. Jeez, can't take me anywhere. I'm going to take a little bit of cream and just dabble it on the top. I never can make those pretty designs. Maybe it's because the soup's not thick enough. I'm just going to place a little bit of lobster on top till I see just a little bit. And there you have delicious lobster bisque. Delicious, delightful. Look at this. Mmm. Yummy. So tasty, so flavorful. Very, very good. Is there something you'd like to learn how to make? Tell me what it is down below in the comments. Thanks for joining me here today in the Let's Make Food from Food kitchen. And from my kitchen to yours, let's make food from food.
That's one boy puppy.